In 2014, this company made headlines when its IPO raised a staggering $100 million. It was a moment of victory, the kind of success every startup dreams of. But just months later, everything began to crumble. The company suddenly fired its chief marketing officer, and in the aftermath, another top executive abruptly stepped down. With tensions running high, the FBI had to step in, and at the center of it all, a single book written by a former employee. A book that would threaten everything this company had built. But to understand this scandal, you have to understand the man behind it all. The founder who started from a small, remote village in India and built $1 billion empire. This is the story of Dharmesh Shah and how he overcame cultural barrier and a major scandal to create one of the most valuable tech companies in the world. In the heart of Gujarat, India, a boy named Dharmesh Shah began his journey in a small, remote village on November 6, 1967. Life there was simple and slow. The village had no traffic lights and the nearest hospital was far away. Dharmesh was born at home, delivered by a midwife, while his young mother, just 18, faced the challenges of motherhood without any comforts. Growing up, Dharmesh didn't have access to the luxuries many take for granted. No television, no hot water, and no reliable electricity. When his father secured an educational visa to the United States, it meant a new start. While Dharmesh and his mother stayed behind for a time, they soon joined him in the United States. However, tragedy struck when his grandfather passed away. This loss forced the family to return to India. They needed to support Dharmesh's grandmother. Back home, Dharmesh was determined to carve his path. He was pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering while his parents settled back in the US. In the second year, Dharmesh booked a plane ticket to see his parents. This trip was a turning point as they encouraged him to explore computer science. It was a chance to step into a world of opportunities he had never seen before. In India, computers were a luxury, expensive and rare. Yet, the idea of studying computer science ignited a spark in Dharmesh. However, changing his course just like that wasn't easy. Dharmesh left behind his mechanical engineering studies and joined Purdue University for a 4-year computer science degree. But the excitement faded quickly. Dharmesh faced the tough reality of being an immigrant struggling with a completely new culture and language. Though it was a 4-year program, it took Dharmesh 7 years to graduate. Why? He juggled his studies while working at SunGuard Systems, a software company that would change his life forever. But this choice would soon push him into a world of high-stakes challenges and tough decisions that would completely change his future. While at SunGuard, Dharmesh gained invaluable experience that prepared him for a bold decision ahead. The moment came when he had to choose between comfort and ambition. He decided to take a bet on himself. He left the security of his job to launch Pyramid Digital Solutions. His company aimed to develop software for the financial services sector. Dharmesh's approach to landing his first few customers was nothing short of brilliant. Despite being naturally introverted, he created a strategy that turned his former employer, SunGuard Systems, into a powerful ally by promising a whopping 50% commission on every client they referred. He devised an offer that was simply too good for them to resist. This clever move not only got their attention but soon flooded him with millions in business. However, as his client base expanded, Dharmesh had a realization. Depending on just one company for clients was a risky gamble. To protect this business in the future, he found new ways to get new customers, like posting blogs, networking events, and online marketing. Impressively, he achieved all of this without raising a single dollar in funding. Over the next decade, his company experienced explosive growth, catching the attention of his former employer, SunGuard Systems. They approached him with an enticing offer to buy Pyramid Digital Solutions. Finally, after reflecting on his journey, Dharmesh agreed to sell his company in 2005 for an undisclosed amount a decade after founding it. At the time of the sale, his company was generating over $15 million in revenue. This success instantly made Dharmesh a millionaire, providing him with his first taste of significant wealth. When he saw those 7-figure numbers in his bank account, he felt a wave of relief wash over him. Finally, he had the freedom he had been pursuing all along. Years of hard work and long hours had paid off. But now was the bigger question: what next? Dharmesh had a plan. He wanted to go back to college and finish his undergraduate degree. He dreamed of enjoying student life, earning a PhD, and eventually becoming a teacher. In fact, he even promised his wife he wouldn't start another business. But little did he know, he was just getting started. In 2004, at the age of 35, Dharmesh enrolled in a business degree at MIT Sloan. During a cocktail party for new students, his wife noticed Brian Halligan. Brian was Dharmesh's senior, known for his dynamic energy and innovative ideas in sales and marketing. When Dharmesh spotted Brian, he found himself drawn into a conversation about the impact of software on small businesses. Though their chat was brief, it hinted at the possibility of a deeper partnership down the road. A few days later, Dharmesh started a blog called On Startups, which would later attract thousands of users to HubSpot. Over time, Dharmesh and Brian became close friends, often brainstorming ways to make business tools more accessible. Inspired by their conversations, they decided to work on a small project together, a marketing automation tool for law firms, which they named LawSpot. However, they soon realized any business could use this tool, so they renamed it to HubSpot. But there was a problem. To work on this enormous project, they needed money. So Dharmesh invested $500,000 from his previous company, and with generous contributions from family and friends, they raised over $1 million. Dharmesh took on the role of the CTO while Brian became the CEO. And just like that, HubSpot was born. But what would come next would set the stage for a major scandal in 2015. In 2007, HubSpot made a big move by raising $5 million in the second funding round from venture capitalists. The company was no longer just a two-man team. They started hiring key people from MIT Sloan, their old school. While many tech firms spent ages analyzing prices, Dharmesh and Brian had a different approach. One day, Dharmesh turned to Brian and asked how they should price HubSpot. After a quick exchange, Brian suggested $250. They nodded in agreement and sealed the deal. Just like that, in under 2 minutes. No lengthy meetings or no data crunching needed. Despite the funding, growing HubSpot was still hard for Dharmesh. He poured countless hours into coding while battling self-doubt about his ability to lead. The software faced persistent bugs that frustrated customers. They flooded the support team with complaints about the buggy software. But what they didn't know was that the founder himself was talking to them. Recognizing this issue, Dharmesh shifted gears. They scaled back on sales and marketing, focusing instead on enhancing the user experience. This shift attracted hundreds of new customers and gave them a fresh hope. With happier users, their revenue began to rise, showing that HubSpot's future looked brighter. Yet, despite generating impressive sales, HubSpot faced ongoing financial losses. In 2014, HubSpot reached an impressive milestone, bringing in nearly $100 million in revenue. However, the reality was bittersweet, as they still faced a significant loss of $22 million. Despite raising a total of $100 million over the past few years, Dharmesh and Brian felt like it wasn't enough for their ambitious growth plans. They made a bold decision. It was time to take HubSpot public. In August 2014, they filed for an IPO. At the time, major IPOs were delayed in Silicon Valley due to negative investor sentiment. Dharmesh was anxious. Will the IPO be approved? Fortunately for him, it did. And the lucky day was October 14, 2014. Dharmesh would ring the bell on NYSE and mark the day his company went public. The IPO was a grand success, raising over $100 million. Dharmesh became a centimillionaire, with Brian close behind. As Dharmesh looked out at the bustling stock exchange, he was feeling immensely proud. The company he had built from the ground up was now shining in the spotlight for millions to see. In the HubSpot office, employees were opening champagne bottles and dancing around. But they had no idea their company would soon be involved in a major scandal. A scandal that would challenge the integrity of Dharmesh. Dan Lyons, a 52-year-old journalist, froze in disbelief after his company suddenly fired him in 2013. He had spent years behind the keyboard, and now, with 2 kids and a mortgage looming, hell broke loose. Each day without a job left him sleepless, and the fear of losing his family's security grew stronger. Determined to keep everything from falling apart, Dan reached out to his contacts, desperately asking if anyone was hiring. For weeks, nothing. But then, 3 offers came his way. A media job in New York, a startup in California, and a tech company in Boston called HubSpot. After consulting with friends and weighing his options, the choice was clear. HubSpot was right in Boston, close to his family. Staying nearby felt like the only safe option in uncertain times. Dharmesh and Brian's first meeting with Dan seemed promising. Everything clicked, and it felt like a great fit. But once Dan joined the team, he quickly realized that HubSpot had a different face hidden behind the mask. What started as a smooth transition into HubSpot's team soon turned into a nightmare. Dan began to see the weird cultural practices of HubSpot. As one of the oldest in the office, Dan felt the sting of age discrimination. The younger colleagues often made him feel like an outsider. The exciting atmosphere of the company felt fake. There were free candy bars, beers, and parties. But it hid the fact that some people had to work long hours under pressure. For example, the sales guys had their own floor where they banged phones all day. It felt like you were in the boiler room. Every week, another employee vanished, fired without warning. It didn't take long for Dan to realize something was off. Finally, he had enough. After months of frustration and witnessing the chaos around him, he decided to quit. The CMO ordered Dan to leave in 5 days, making it seem like HubSpot had fired him. But that wasn't even the worst part. Months later, Dan learned from a friend that HubSpot had let their CMO go. The reason? They suspected he was trying to steal Dan's book manuscript. Rumors circulated that someone at HubSpot claimed Dan's book could damage their reputation. Worse yet, Dan noticed strange activities on his laptop. Someone tried logging into his social media accounts. One day, he got a phone from his credit card company asking him if he had made a large transaction. He changed his locks and passwords, yet he felt terrified. The thought of someone harming his wife and kids made him sweat. The situation grew so serious that the FBI had to get involved. HubSpot issued a statement about the incidents, but they didn't clarify their position, which only hurt their reputation further. This was one of Dharmesh's darkest moments. He faced backlash at work and in his personal life as people questioned his integrity and role in the company. Surprisingly, even amid the negative press, HubSpot's stock remained stable. In fact, it bounced back quickly after the controversy faded away. What would follow as a result is a series of events that made HubSpot a massive billion-dollar company. HubSpot was on the verge of something bigger, beyond just marketing. With new features like Sales Hub and Service Hub, they shifted gears, becoming a one-stop powerhouse for businesses. This bold shift didn't just make waves, it unified entire teams, driving HubSpot's influence to new heights. With HubSpot Academy, they weren't just selling tools, they were building loyalty, teaching businesses how to win. Even during the pandemic, HubSpot's bold discounts helped struggling businesses survive, solidifying their place as a company that truly cared. In 2021, a snowmobile accident severely injured CEO Brian Halligan, leaving HubSpot in a state of uncertainty. As Brian rested in recovery, the board's worry grew over who would lead HubSpot through this critical time. They chose Yamini Rangan, the COO, to become the new CEO. Dharmesh shifted his focus to shaping HubSpot's long-term vision, while Brian remained integral to the executive board. In 2021, HubSpot made a big move by acquiring the popular newsletter, The Hustle, for $27 million, expanding their market. The next year, they made another powerful statement by purchasing data company Clearbit for a whopping $150 million. HubSpot found itself in talks with Google about a possible acquisition. Google actually wanted the data which would supplement its Google Ads network. However, the deal fell apart due to regulatory issues. Dharmesh Shah, once a shy introvert, faced with his fear of public speaking. Now he stands confidently on stage sharing his journey at HubSpot's annual Inbound conferences. Despite his impressive net worth of over $1 billion, Dharmesh stays grounded. His humble beginnings inspired him to give away 90% of his wealth to meaningful causes. He also invests in groundbreaking startups that excite him, looking forward to a new chapter focused on life-changing innovations. And that's the story of Dharmesh Shah, an Indian immigrant who built a $25 billion CRM powerhouse.